Ladies and gentlemen, batteries. How do they work? And what are they hiding from us? Have you asked yourself recently, why don't batteries last as long as they used to? Remember when you were a kid, you would stick a AA in your favorite toy and it would last all day. But now, it seems they run out after mere weeks. Ladies and gentlemen, this is because, much like your potato chips and your corn chips, they have begun filling our batteries with air.
You know, when I was a child, I once took, I believe it was a 8 or 9 volt battery out of my Bentley remote control car, and I licked it, and it blew my head away.
Absolutely.
And now these things, what is this? What is this? What is this?
Exactly. They tell us this has more power than ever. And yet if you lick this, nothing happens. All you taste is air. Not the coppery power of a battery, but merely the light and effervescent taste of oxygen.
I found myself in an argument with my mechanic because I brought my Tesla in because it was running a bit slow. And I was trying to explain to him, you need to check the air in the battery. And how blown away he was, just baffled that I would suggest such a thing.
Absolutely. Because he hasn't had his eyes open to the truth. And this is how hard it is in daily life when you don't see the truth like we here at Truth Watch do, and you, Truth Nation.
I actually wear glasses that have no lenses in them because I see just fine, thank you.
Some might say that's because you see too clearly for glasses. You've seen through big glasses, and now you don't need them anymore.
How correct you are. Oh,
but now,
how correct you are.
Now, Uncle O, in addition to sapping the power of our batteries and decreasing the amount of Lay's potato chips that you find in your bag, what else have people been trying to sneak past us and into our homes and lives?
On my last vacation to the Orient, I visited Japan. And I was able to sit in on a few, talks from scholars and
learned wise men of the Orient.
Of the Orient, where knowledge first came from. Obviously.
Absolutely, much like Confucius.
As most of you know, I'm not allowed at a lot of these things in the States because I'm considered to be a conspiracist.
Yes.
Some kind of a nut, they want to label me as. So my time in Japan had taught me that, your kids ever bring home those little trinkets that have a digital entity on it that you have to take care of, right?
Right.
They are labeling these in the common world in Japan as Japanese pocket monsters. And here's what they say is a sinister attempt by the Japanese government to infiltrate our homes and gathering places with cyber demons and demon worship cards. Are you kidding me?
Man. Now, this isn't surprising. Unfortunately, while we respect many of the Japanese people for their honored traditions and culture, many of their leaders have been trying to infiltrate us for years.
I want to say this. We trust Japanese people. We just don't trust Japan.
Absolutely. Perhaps we trust them even more than our own mothers, friends, and daughters. But their leaders have been trying to enter this country for many years now. The so-called earthquake that happened just a few years ago was in fact cover to move the entire island of Japan 9 inches closer to our own American soil.
You guys didn't find it coincidental that their newest, Lokimon app dropped the same time that the earthquake happened?
Exactly. That was so they could smuggle these cyber demons into our very homes, residences, and playgrounds.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's our children, our dear, sweet children, of which I have 16, that we need to protect. These video games, these movies, these apps on your phone, it's all marketed towards our defenseless children.
Absolutely. Because what do these apps use? They use RFID technology. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what does RFID stand for? Of course, really interesting for demons.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is terrifying. But how has this plan been advanced by the Japanese government, not the people who we respect very deeply?
Well, the governments are all connected, obviously. the United Nations, more like, the devastators of our whole globe.
Absolutely. What good are nations when they're united?
I'll tell you what good, none.
Absolutely.
You think wars
None.
are not going to happen because we have a united set of, islands that are all on the same ball floating through space?
Exactly. And how are these so-called United Nations going to unite when they ignore the greatest threat possibly to all mankind that comes from within our very own planet? The so-called reptilians. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the problem with so-called United Nations.
I met a reptilian once.
Absolutely. We meet them every day. We just don't recognize them. Now, much like a stew, when you unite many nations into a pot, what do you wind up with, Uncle O?
You're telling me, where did these people come from? Who voted for all these people? I don't believe there are as many people in office as they say that there are. I think some are clones, some are obviously cyborgs. But...
Obviously. Many of these pictures are photoshopped to add 18 to 24,000 delegates to these meetings. But really, when you add this entire group of nations together as a soup, what do you wind up with? Much like many soups.
Diarrhea.
Absolutely. Diarrhea and hemorrhoids. Ladies and gentlemen, there are dire consequences to doing this. Nations were never meant to be united.
As always, I appreciate your time letting me on your show, Mr. Scott Goodman.
I thank you for having you, Opie.